Good morning, Southern California, AM 1220 KHTS. Your host, Fred Arnold, on the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight. Also on Facebook Live. Hope you're watching KHTS Facebook Live. Phil Levy, good friend of mine. Phil Levy, after 3 decades plus, is a CFO in the aerospace industry. Insurance industry, and decided to be a realtor and help serve people in the real estate field. Your son, Joey, graduated from University of Arizona and is your partner. You got the millennial and you got the dad, right?
Right.
Yeah, and right. We want to talk about what's going on in real estate here in in Santa Clarita specifically.
Perfect.
How's today's market?
I'd characterize it as a seller's market. At the end of February, there were only 365 active listings.
So only 365 out of 250,000 people that live here.
Right, and 86,000 households.
86,000.
And that's Castaic to Acton.
You list your house, you're going to sell it.
If it's priced right, you're going to sell it very quickly.
Yeah. So, but homes are turning rather quickly.
Yes.
Higher end, lower end, does it matter?
All across the board, the sweet spot is 400 to 600,000.
Is there houses still available for 400 to 600,000? The median price is around five and change, right?
530,000 at the end of February. We actually reached. That's for single family. We actually reached a high since 2007 in January, and the median price was 560 for single family residents.
Now, the market is so hot. Recently, you were making an offer in a particular neighborhood for one of your clients, a doctor that's relocating back here to Southern California, and you did something I think very innovative to help find a listing for your buyer.
That's right. We sent out a letter canvassing the entire neighborhood where she was looking, and sent out 165 letters. We received two responses, and we're setting up showings for her this week.
Yeah, fantastic. Creating your own market. Let's talk about some tips for some buyers.
Okay.
Buyers need to be pre-approved.
They need to be pre-approved with a terrific lender like American Family Funding.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you. And the pre-approval it frames the pricing objective for the buyer, and it also becomes a negotiating point for the buyer to show that they have a very strong lender and they are pre-approved, not necessarily pre-qualified, but actually pre-approved by an underwriter who's signed off on the buyer's credit credentials.
And that was what was important that you said, Phil, is they sign off on the credentials, that they've looked at the income, they've looked at the down payment, they've looked at the credit, and they've looked
Correct.
at the job history.
That's right.
Really
That's
important,
right.
really important. Prospective buyers, seller disclosure statement is really important, isn't it?
That's
Transfer
correct.
disclosure statement.
Right.
Tell us about that, because I think it's one of the most important documents you should review.
Right. Well,
besides the inspection.
Right. There will be a number of disclosures that are provided to a buyer through an escrow process. The transfer disclosure statement, seller property questionnaire are two in particular that disclose the criteria, the aspects of the property and the history of the property. So as a buyer, you'll know whether there's been a flood in the house, a fire in the house, whether there's been a death in the house in the recent years. You'll know whether there's
some of the small stuff you can't see, right?
Some
if there's a leak on the roof,
you can't
because
see
all of it has to be disclosed.
Right. And another important disclosure is getting a claims history on the house. And that will also tell you whether there's been a leak in the house or fire in the house as well.
Yeah, very important information. Prospective seller, some tips.
Well, the first thing is pricing. Pricing is everything. And if you're overpriced, even in this market, you will get very few showings.
Now let's talk about that for a minute, if you don't mind. Overprice is one thing, but if you underprice it, you get multiple offers and things do get bid on, correct?
That's correct. We recently wrote offers, submitting offers on a house. There were 7 competing offers on that house, and the house was priced over the comps. Mm-hmm. And we had there were 7 competing offers on that house.
Yeah, and they're talking about under promising and over delivering. Underprice it, and you get over delivered on offers.
Exactly.
There are a few cautions for both buyers and sellers when going through the process. What are those?
Number one, make sure you understand the motivation for buying and selling. You want to make sure that when you are done with the transaction, you will have a betterment in your quality of life. Number two, make sure you understand the time frames and time commitment needed to go through the escrow process, the disclosure process, and the loan process. These are three concurrent activities which occur simultaneously and require a great deal of time and attention. And the third thing is to be prepared to deal in a very competitive market.
Can I throw in a couple ideas?
Sure.
If you're going to look at the house at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, also go back and look at it at 10 in the morning and maybe in the evening time.
Right.
So you can see what really happens in the neighborhood.
Right.
Whether it's a loud dog or whatever that is.
Exactly.
Get a different perspective different times of the day.
That's right. And also drive around the entire neighborhood. Make sure you know what's one or two blocks over in each direction.
Yeah. A good real estate agent like Phil will also know in your neighborhood, you might see a comp down the street that's sold for a little more, a little bit less, whatever. But they'll know the condition, the real condition of that house, because typically when someone buys a house, they fix it up.
That's correct.
And so you don't know the true condition when you see it. And so a realtor can really tell you that too when it comes to comps. Yeah.
That's correct.
Really important. Phil Levy, how can they reach you if they want to discuss a possible listing or be shown real estate?
The best way is to call me on my cell phone. The number is 661-313-4717. 661-313-4717.
Phil, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Fred.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, Phil Levy with Berkshire Hathaway, a real estate professional in the Santa Clarita Valley. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight. I'm your host, Fred Arnold, on AM 1220 KHTS.